Turbo Conquering Mega Eagle. Right folks, how you doing? Alright, okay, we're going to have a look at my my vices today. Yeah, I've had this, I got this one first and never used it because I had problems with it, and then but I started fixing it up. I painted it. It's got a nice bit of epoxy top coat there. I had I don't know, I mixed it up at work, and then the vice was floating around at work, so I slapped it on there. This one though, I found for £5 whilst I was doing this one, so I just left this one and forgot about it. And this has been a lovely lump of old cast iron and completely dependable. And but the thing is, we've got bits of the jaws missing. You know, some bits I've knocked, other bits have been like that forever, or since I've had it anyway. Fortis steel, this one. Nice vice, really nice. This one's a bit bigger though, and this is a Samsonia. It is the perfect vice. If you don't believe me, it even says so on the side. It's a bit of a lump. I've only got my Crocs on today, so I don't really want to drop it on my toes, but have a look at that. Whoa, the perfect vice. Yeah, lovely. So I bought it. It was cheap, but it's missing the jaws, and also it was missing the quick release mechanism when I bought it. So I did try making my own one up, but because I used mild steel for the bar there, it's always just bent. You know. Let me see if I can get it out of there to show you. Oh, there we go. There's a decent view of it. You can see the bits I made there all those years ago. It wasn't that long. 5 or 6 years ago maybe. I don't know. So I made all that stuff on the bottom. It's got the half nut in it. I'll just whip that off in case you're not familiar with how these vices work. Okay. So here's the half nut. Half nut does look good. It's not too heavily worn. I mean, if your half nuts, if the threads are dished, yeah, and not flat like these, then the vice will never lock. Yeah, when you try and tighten it up on something, like let's say that's in there, when the half nut's worn, or the thread in the vice is worn, it just pops, you know, and jumps a thread every time you get the vice tightened up and goes loose again. So if the half nut was worn, I'd have problems, because there's no way I'm getting a new half nut for this vice. I'd have to, well, I don't know what I'll do, to be honest, but it's not. I'm pretty confident that'll work, and the thread in the vice is good. I can't really remember why I was having problems with this. I think it's mainly just because the metal I use for this strip. So this strip hooks on the half nut like that, and the lever at the end. This is all stuff that I made 5-6 years ago, and it's a bit crappy. I think I could do a lot better now. And it's you know, when you rotate this lever, it lifts and drops the half nut, and there's a spring here on the handle, yeah, but my spring only has about 3 or 2.5 winds on it. But if you look at the proper job, the original job on this vice, there's yeah, let me just drop the camera down a second. There's about 10 coils on that spring, yeah. So there's oh no, it's more than that. I mean, this is a long spring, yeah. So, but what I want to do now is basically copy what's on this vice and remake it for the other vice. I've got some springs that are about the right sort of gauge wire, but I mean they're already a spring, so I'll have to sort of get them hot, straighten them out, turn them into a spring, and then heat treat them again, I think. Then I'm probably going to make this, because this has to be quite thin, so, but also rigid, so I'm going to make this out of a better steel. I've got some tool steel for that. And then once I've got the quick release mechanism operating correctly, I'll make some jaws for it, some new some new teethies, you know, and that's going to be the fun part. I think that's going to be the labour intensive bit, because I expect I'm just going to have to file the sort of checkering, because it's nice to have a bit of checkering in your vice teeth. You don't want them flat, otherwise they won't grip anything. You know, I'll put all manner of stuff in my vice. You know, if I want a soft jaw, I'll put a soft jaw in it, but I want something that's going to grip a piece of scrap hard enough for me to, you know, knock 7 layers of crap out of it. you know what I mean. You see me up to it all the time, didn't you? Hey, all right. So that's what I don't really know what's first. I suppose we're going to make the quick release for this vice, but we're going to do a nice job this time. Okay, so that's the retaining and guide plate. It's going to locate the half nut, but also locate the strip of metal that lifts and lowers the half nut and locks it in place. Okay, so I've got the hardware sorted now. There's a plate on the front to hold the torsion bar. Can you call it a bar? It's a flat, isn't it? The torsion flat, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's nice and chunky. Yeah. Not that big ever goes wrong anyway, but you know. Hopefully I haven't made it too thick. I wasted this end in the end because I was worried about the spring clearing the underside of the vise, because I don't want it rubbing. This one actually rubs and it doesn't really cause any problems. You know, the spring actually touches the side of the vise, but hey, I know if I count on being able to do that, it's going to go badly wrong, isn't it? So we'll just try and clear the spring of the vise. Right, we need a little handle. I'm going to leave the handle till I've done the spring. The spring, I'd like to try and make it out of this trampoline spring. I've got thousands of these things, you know. I just pick up old trampolines by the side of the road if they're nicer than the one the kids have got, and then I'll take the ones the kids have got apart and put the other one up. But what that means is I have thousands of these these trampoline springs, and they seem to be about the right sort of gauge, same sort of gauge steel as this vise that I'm leaning on right here. But they go in the wrong direction. So this is obviously a tension spring, yeah. It would have worked quite nicely as a torsion spring. No, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. Either way, so what I'm going to try and do is anneal it and draw it out into wire at the same time. So I'm just going to hang it up and put a bit of weight on one end and then hit it with a blowtorch until we get it reasonably straight, and then I'll try and wind it back up on the lathe or something like that and turn it back into completely opposite spring to this. You know what I mean by the torsion? This is wound one way and I need my spring to be wound the other way. So and I haven't got any other sort of spring steel that sort of diameter. I need quite a bit of it as well. You know, I do need. It's kind of a shame this spring isn't just wound the opposite direction. Think of it like left hand, right hand threads. You know, like I'm just doing my head in trying to. Never mind. Let's get this stretched out and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Oh, open it in. This is going the right way. I need to just double check this is going the right way, folks. I'm doubting myself now. That way, I told you, I knew I was going to get confused by this bit. Think we're good. Pretty sure we're good. Have a look at my setup. It's not. I haven't even uncoiled the spring completely, but it's still working. It's still working. I've got blood everywhere because I slit myself open on the end of that shaft that I got in there. So there's a spring floating around all over the place. Still not completely uncoiled, but seems to be working. Then I've got a bit of 10mm scrap in the tool post with a 3.5mm hole, countersink both ends. This is an 1/8, so 3.2mm, and it's actually going around this bar quite nicely now. It's going to take me ages, so I'm going to switch the camera off. I'll catch up with you in a minute when it's done. Well, let's have a little look at it going on. I don't know if I can do this without either flicking the spring in your face or getting in the way of the photo, but look at that. There we go. Okay. There, prop. Yep. I reckon that's a pretty good spring. That'll do. Oh, I've just screwed it up. That's annoying. Dicking around a bit probably wasn't a good idea, was it, eh? Oh, Jimmy, my boy, what have you done? I think it's still usable. It's just gone a bit boss-eyed at the bottom now. I haven't re-tempered this or anything. This is I've re-hardened it or anything like that. So I probably shouldn't have overdone it like that. Oh well, know for next time, don't we? Don't mess around your spring. Oh, I don't know. Might be able to just straighten it out like that. Oh yeah, good as new. Okay, alright folks. So I've been messing around with this spring for a little while now. I do have it on the shaft. That end's folded in. This isn't how they normally do it on the vices, but it sort of makes quite a bit of sense to do it like this. It's easier for me and it's neater and tidier, and I don't have to locate the spring on the flat bar. I did cut it a bit too short, but also the other thing I've noticed is that I wound this on a they expand, innit? Like if I wound this spring on a shaft the same size as this is 18mm, this shaft at the back end, 20mm at the front, 18 at the back. If I wound it on an 18mm shaft, it'd end up having an internal diameter of like 23mm, something like that. I wound this on a 12mm shaft and it was tight going on this 18mm shaft, yeah. So I had to knock it on with a hammer, and the end result of that is it only really springs in this first. You can actually see where they've sort of where they've deformed slightly. So I'm only really getting the spring out of the first inch of, you know, it's 4 inches long and it's only really the first inch that's doing anything. So what I'm going to do is make another spring. I've managed to stretch one out. I've just been playing around with them. Like I say, I've got thousands of these things. I pulled this one out without any heat, so I'm going to try and do the next spring without any heat whatsoever. It's probably going to be a little bit harder to wrap it, but it's going on a larger diameter, so I'm going to use 5/8 or 16mm to wrap it round, and hopefully that'll give me something that's much closer to 18mm internal diameter, so the whole thing will spring, not just the first inch. And I'll try not to be a dickhead and cut it too short. No promises on that last one, but the rest of it should be alright. Okay, I've got it all made up. There's still a handle that needs to be made at the front, the release lever, but that's basically the run of it. Let me try and get this all in. Oh, it does look pretty standard, to be honest, like in a good way, like it's how it's meant to look. That's a bolt I welded on there just to catch the end of this spring. I know it's still a bit grotty in there, sorry about that folks. No, I'm not going to tidy it up. No one's going to see it. And what? Yeah. So this is the spring that I wound onto 16mm shaft, and that's now a nice fit over the 18mm shaft, and it fits snugly up inside the vise. It does touch in a couple of places when I pull the vise in and out. I'll show you. Okay. Let's flip this upside down. I haven't got a handle on this at the minute, and I don't know, springs do make me nervous, especially under tension. I had to tension this is under tension now. It won't work otherwise, that nut won't grip. Oh, there's a lot of iron in this vise. There we go. So we're gripping it in a minute. It should work. I can't release it at the minute because I haven't put a handle on, but what? This is where we can find out if I've wasted all my time on the vise with a dodgy half nut Let's get a bit of wood in there so I don't mar up the iron. Yeah, a bit of lube's definitely made it better. I haven't had it jump yet. I don't actually want to make it jump because, yeah, like I say, every time you jump it, you're screwing up the tips of the thread a little bit more, aren't you? But at the same time, I don't want to waste my time on a vice that's jumping. So the handle for the quick release, I turned up a round bit, and I just started chain drilling a lever to get welded onto that round bit, and then we'll sculpt it a little bit with a grinder. So I'll have to cut this out and smooth off the knobbly bits first. Okay. So the quick release is done and working very nicely now. Just leaves the jaws left to do. Yeah. This is a bit that I'm quite excited about. I've had this lump of metal floating around for, I don't know, quite a while now, because this is one of those jobs I've been intending to do for a very long time. This has come from Coventry Grinders, yeah. They actually worked out cheaper than anyone on eBay, and they would have if I'd wanted a special size. Ground it down, you know, very close tolerances. I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably says on here what the tolerances are. No, it doesn't say what the tolerances are. But what? I don't really know where I'm going with this. Either way, if you want to find a bit of steel and it's got to be a specific size, Coventry Grinders are a very good place to start. Yeah, and this is 01 tool steel. The reason I'm putting tool steel on these jaws is because I want to harden them. Yeah, not massively, but let me show you an old Chinese vice that hasn't been hardened. So this I was using for about 2 months. Yeah, it's a 20 quid Chinese vice. I got this because my little Palermo vice. I love it. I love my little Palermo. It's a bit narrower than this. I think it's only 2.5 inch wide. But it was getting a bit battered and a bit abused. I was using it for too heavy a work, so I got this. Not expecting it to last forever, but just wanting something I could beat on without getting upset, because I don't like the idea of destroying that. You know, my nice old vintage vice when I'm doing fabricating work. Either way, as you can see, it broke, and it didn't take me long to do that. So I wouldn't recommend these. My original plan was to hack it off, so it would only be sort of similar size to my last one, 2.5 inch wide, but I never did. But see, the thing is, they have mild steel jaws on these vices, and I don't know if you can see the difference in definition between the centre where I've been gripping more stuff and the edges where I haven't been using them quite so much, and it just wears it away. So A, you're not getting any grip, but also after that the jaws aren't flat anymore. It has its benefits because, as you can see on the Fortis vice here, you know, these have got hardened jaws in them, but they, you know, rather than wearing, they just chip and shatter. Like, and most of this damage was done before I had it. I'm always pretty careful not to smack the actual jaws with a hammer. You want to try and avoid that, especially if they're hardened. But for this vice, I definitely want hardened jaws. Yeah. Obviously you can't buy jaws for this vice anymore, so we're gonna have to make them. Hence the 01 tool steel, and the reason I'm gone for 01 rather than anything else is because I'm quite happy with 01. I feel like I've got the run of this stuff now, isn't it? You know, I can pretty well predict where I'm going to end up with, but I want to be safe rather than sorry, so I'm going to make my 2 vice jaws out of this, and then whatever's left over I'll harden that at the same time and do a destructive test on that. And that means if it doesn't perform how I want it to perform, I won't start again. I mean, I can just temper it back a little bit more, or, you know, modify it, I suppose, a little bit. You know, it's quite hard to anneal metal, so what will probably happen is it'll end up being too brittle. So then I can draw it back a bit, you know, just soften it up a bit. I can't imagine I'll overshoot so much that I'll end up with something too soft for vice jaws, but we'll see, won't we? But the thing now, what I want to do is obviously put my cross hatching in it, because this is perfectly smooth at the minute. This is an annealed bar, so it should be quite easy to mark. Let's just make double sure of that now before we get going, otherwise I'll have to rethink the whole strategy. I mean, I won't even be able to drill it if it's hardened, but yeah, so that's quite soft at the minute. This isn't annealed. This is in its softest possible state at the minute. Yeah, so that's good. That's what we want. So I'm going to put the cross hatching in it to start with. I see this Chinese vice again. It's got this horrible, great big cross hatching, and it just doesn't bloody do anything. And then my small little Palermo vice has got really fine cross hatching. It's beautiful, and it just hasn't rubbed off. That's an old vice. This has got cross hatching somewhere in the middle, so I'll try and replicate the cross hatching on this. Yeah, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get myself a bit of railway track and use the railway track as an anvil, and then I'll make a chisel and make a guide for the chisel and just stamp. It's going to take me a long time to put the cross hatching on this, but I'll do the cross hatching along a distance, you know, big enough to get the 2 jaws out of, and then once I've done that, I'll then cut the jaws out of this piece of metal which already has the cross hatching on it, if that makes sense. I think it's going to be an easier task working like that. I'll have a much bigger lump of metal to grab hold of in the first place. Yeah, so it makes sense for me. I'm sure hopefully it'll work out. Okay, all right, let's have a look. Okay, so first off, for making the checkering in this set of jaws, I'm going to make a chisel out of this off-cut leaf spring. It most probably was got turned into a crossbow or something, but now it's the remnants are going to be turned into a checkering chisel for checkering chisel checkers. Okay, so I've finished making the tool, and with this tool I'm going to fix a tool, and with that tool I'm probably going to make other tools, and maybe some of those tools will make more tools. The circle of life. Okay, so yeah, that's just a bit of leaf spring. I've got a 90-degree angle on that, so it should be reasonably robust. Hopefully my welding is not drawn too much of the hardness out of this steel, and there's just a big I think it's M22 bolt welded to the back of that. Thread's knocked off in the lathe just to make it a bit more comfortable to grip. a nice big striking surface, because I'm going to have to hit this quite hard, and I'm going to have to hit it 500-700 times, right?
Us, what the Japanese government has done is instigated a state of emergency. Not that it legally means anything. They are using this so-called state of emergency to suggest that people stand up and lose their businesses. The way she tries to make it seem, I do not condone these things. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to bring out her video here. She puts out this video called The Real Tea. And this video is just littered with lies and manipulation. And I'm going to explain why I feel.
So this is the grumpiest toddler in the world. Yeah, wouldn't be a problem, but you know, she's only 18 months old, and she's got the strength of you know, some some grown adults that I know, innit? Hey, hey.
flagship's trade body flows, almost independent of the furious carronade going on behind them. Iron is noticeably down by the bow as a pair of shells from Hindenburg opened up huge gashes in the hull forward of the main armour belt. Suddenly, huge gouts of water.
So I did just pick the writing out with a red paint pen. It won't last long. Right, it's not a beauty contest though, is it, lads? Eh? This isn't a restoration. Yeah, it's just a return to service of what I'm hoping is going to be a good vice. There we go. My jaws line up beautifully. I did have to take a bit of material off the top there because what? It's still tight. You know, it's got rust and paint on there. I could have cleaned it off, but you know, it'll come off by itself in the fullness of time, won't it? Eh? Like the way these jaws turned out, very nice. Again, I could have polished them up if I actually wanted millions of views. I don't, you know, just as long as you guys are happy, I'm happy, you know. No, seriously, like and subscribe, thumbs up and all that. Yeah, I'd quite like millions of pounds. Think of the damage I'd do, eh? Okay, so the spring, very happy with that. That turned out beautifully, and I'm almost elated at the fact that it didn't break on me or anything like that, and so you know, bit more confidence in why the animals always appear right at the wrong time, eh? Miss Fluffy Tail, the rabbit slayer. What am I on about anyway? Yeah, you know, pleasantly surprised. Happy with my new knowledge of springs. I hate metric bolts. They just look crap, don't they? Like, you know, old Whitworth stuff sticks out twice as far as that. The heads are twice as thick. You know, you can always tell a Whitworth bolt because the heads are huge. But hey, this is all I had. I don't have Whitworth taps and stuff to clean the threads out anyway, so, or to make new threads on the jaws. So it kind of had to be metric, I'm afraid. That's it. Anyway, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of this vice because I'm going to be this is the centre of the workshop, isn't it? Really, your vice and whatever bench you've got your vice mounted on. Yeah, very good. Let me just stick something in there and hit it or something. Alright. Yeah, I'd say they're gripping alright. Yeah, it's made impressions on the steel, but they're not too deep and they're not too aggressive. I like them. They're nice teeth. I'll try and get you a bit of a better close-up of the. Oh, that wants to loosen up a bit. Kind of regretting not having cleaned it up a bit better. But hey, like I say, fullness of time and all that. That was labour intensive, but I'm happy I did it. It has come out quite nice. Very labour intensive though. I'd be interested to know if anyone else has tried something like this. I've obviously looked around YouTube before I started this to try and get some inspiration. I see someone doing this with a shaper. I mean, he didn't use hardened steel. He didn't harden the steel afterwards, so they probably look like crap now. But they look very nice to start with. I haven't got a shaper, obviously. These aren't. Yeah, that's good. You can see the inconsistency and the spacing there, can't you? But hey, it did try and jump around a bit. I don't think it really matters that much if there's a little bit of a bigger gap. It's not like a machine vice, is it? I mean, a machine vice you'd want perfectly flat jaws anyway, wouldn't you? So yeah, and a lot of people just putting smooth flat jaws on their vices. I suppose because they They aren't too fussed about the checkering. Each to their own. I like their grip, me, you know, and it's not often I do something that wants to be really pretty, and if I do, then I can just put something soft on those jaws, can't I? I normally just wrap masking tape around there, you know, to be honest. That seems to do a good job if I'm working on alley or brass or something. So yeah, if you want to make yourself a set of super heavy duty jaws, get in touch with Coventry Grinders. Make yourself a chisel. Spend a few hours putting some lines in your teeth and then harden her up, I suppose. Samsonia, perfect, lovely jubbly. Alright, okay folks, I hope you enjoyed that. You know, obviously this is just an interlude. The other day I got so fed up, I was cutting bolts down in that vise, and you know, it's these edges here that you want to grip a bolt with, and if you only want to take a little bit off a bolt, it starts getting a little bit tedious, doesn't it? Because they try and ping out. And I had everything here to sort this vise out. So we did it. We took a little break from the old Dumper McTruckleson and sorted the vise out. But we'll get back onto the dump truck. There are a couple of other things I kind of need to get done with a little bit of urgency, to be honest. So I might just do a couple of little videos on them before I get onto the dump truck again. I've been working on this thing so long now that all my other little jobs that I have to do have sort of built up. So yeah, perhaps you won't see the dump truck again for another couple of weeks, but I'll be back on it as soon as I can. The fuck was that? Anyway folks, take care, hope you're all keeping well, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, cheerio, bye bye.